In this video we will build together the script that solves the exercise, the current exercise. So this script is going to scrape a value from this web page, this particular value, every 2 seconds, because this value is changing every 2 seconds. So we're going to get that value and store each value in a text file. So let's see how we can do that. This function gets the driver for the home page, right? And we get that driver in here. We sleep for 2 seconds and then we get that element. So what we need to change here, I think, is that we need to get this element multiple times. Therefore, it makes sense to put that element inside a loop, this scraping here. So I'm going to select that and also time the sleep, press tab to indent them, and then while true, run these every 2 seconds. So the loop will first wait 2 seconds after we load the page. So we load the page, the loop starts immediately, it waits 2 seconds, and then it gets the element in here. So what do we want to do with the element? Well, let's start by extracting the text. So I'm going to delete this return statement. So we want to extract the text which is equal to that and delete return. We will probably not need to return any value here since we are not printing out things in the terminal, but we are writing things in a file. That means our function will not contain any return value. So once we get the text, we want to write that text to a file. So should we do with here, or does it make more sense to create a function that is responsible for creating files, such as define write file, which gets text, just a parameter as input, and then let's write a docstring for this, such as write input text into a text file with double quotes. And so let's define what file name will this text contain before we do with open file name ws file.write something here, which is the text, the content. So text will be written inside the file with this file name. So the file name is important here because we don't want to have duplicate file names. To avoid having duplicate file names, we need to use something like a date time that changes every 2 seconds. That will make our date times unique. So file name would be equal to an f string, so which is going to be something like .txt, and here we have a placeholder which will be dt.now, so date time. What is dt? Well, dt is something we need to import from date time, a standard Python library. Import date time as dt. So dt will be the variable equivalent to this date time, the object that returns date time instances. So dt.now gives us the current date time, as you may know. So just if I copy that, paste it here, and say dt.now gives us that. And from that, if we apply strf time, which stands for string from time, so we want to generate a string out of that datetime object. This is a datetime object, right? We need a string because you use that string as a file name. So this file name here that we provide to the open function is expected to be a string, so text. Therefore, we need to convert dt.now to text, because currently the type of dt.now is a datetime class type. So again, dt.now.strf time, and inside here you want to provide some datetime flags or directives or format codes, whatever you like to call them. You can find these easily on the web if you search for datetime format Python. So we want to extract, basically we set the year. So we say Y. If we execute this, sorry, it's a capital Y. If you execute that, you get the current year. Now, if you add a dash, you get the current year and a dash. If you add after the dash a small m, you get the current year and the number of the month, and so on. Keep adding things like that, and you construct the date time as a string. So next would be the day, right? And then maybe have a dot, and then have the hour, the minutes with capital M, dash, and seconds with capital S. Yeah, that's it. And we get this string. So anytime I execute this, we're going to get a string different from the first one. So 4 seconds later, right? 6, 2 seconds later, and so on. Right, I'm going to copy that expression and paste it inside these curly brackets entirely. So that string.txt constructs the file name. And then we create a file with that file name in write mode. File object is stored in this variable, and in that file object we write the text. So now what we want to do is we want to get the text here and clean it, and this will give us a float. Remember, it's a float. Therefore, I will convert this into a string so that we can provide that text to write file. So write file text. So this variable goes here. Now you could say, oh, why not? Don't you just delete this float and it will be a string anyway, so you don't have to convert first to a float and then you convert it back to a string. But I wouldn't prefer that method. I would like to leave this function independent, so I don't want to create coupling between the functions. The role of this function is to clean the text and to give that value as a number, as a float. So don't mess with that function, just convert it into a string, no problem. It doesn't take any resources, practically. This looks good to me, so I'll give it a try. So run. This is lagging, so I'll try to reload and then run again. It happens sometimes with Ripple, but you will not lose any changes that you made to your script. So run again. And we have a syntax error here. So as you see, REPL is also underlining this because we have double quotes inside double quotes. The outer double quotes is this and that one, and this should be single quotes here, single quotes in here. Run again. The browser is starting. And here is our first text file. So second 32, 34, 36, 38. Let's open them. 34, 25.0, the current world temperature, the fake temperature. 28, and so on and so forth. Yep, it's working well. Like that. Sometimes though you will have some delays. For example, from 50 it jumped up to 43. There will be a mismatch between seconds. So, but I wouldn't worry about that. Still, we have one file generated every 2 seconds. So, that's how you do it. Thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you in the next videos.